Hi, Sam. As an atheist, I have really started valuing life, and the dignity of life. But the problem is that now, when I hear of any loss of life which has happened due to some deliberate actions of others or due to some carelessness of others, it saddens me, it grieves, makes me angry, because earlier I used to just feel, oh, accident happened because
Right.
it just had to happen, and it happened. But now I can see the responsibility of other people's, that others are being robbed of their right to live. And so how do I deal with this, like this anger, this grief, me or other atheists like me who can clearly see the responsibilities of others?
Right, right. Well, as I said, the change in attitude that I just recommended, I kind of smuggled mindfulness meditation into this talk and foisted it on 4,000 atheists. Uh, so you're now all Buddhists. I'm sorry to have done that to you. But it is an antidote to that kind of suffering. I mean, when you look closely at the mechanics of your own suffering, you find that when you're suffering, you are lost in thought. Now, that may seem like the pushback you immediately get from that is that, well, some things are worth suffering over. You mean to tell me that, my child dies and I could stop suffering if I just, break the spell of thought? Yes, to some degree. I mean, but it's damn hard to do when the bar is set that high, when you're dealing with the death of someone close to you. But it is the experience so the thing you just did for 5 minutes is something that I have done. I've gone on retreat for weeks and months at a time, and in silence for 18 hours a day, just did that exercise. And so it takes a long time to realize how much thought is clouding your experience of the present moment, and how much how much of our kind of mediocrity and how we feel moment to moment is just a matter of us continually thinking, this undercurrent of thought. And so when something terrible happens, the undercurrent of your thought is, all of these kind of grief-stricken ideas. I'll never see her again. The memory of how much you loved her, back and forth, and you're buffeted by thought ceaselessly. And for most of us, there is no alternative but we're just hostage to the contents of the next thought. And if there's relief to be found in the face of death and loss, the relief is to bear down upon the present moment and become interested enough in the present moment so that you can notice that to some degree consciousness is equanimous even in the presence of that kind of emotional pain. And it does erode the pain of that pain. And again, to some degree, it's a kind of framing issue. It's the difference between thinking that the pain in your arm is because you're now getting so good at lifting weights, or thinking that it's because you've got bone cancer. It could be the exact same sensation, but that the framing the difference is total. And so what I'm recommending to you is many good things come from training. And we give no thought to training the mind. We give a lot of thought to training our body. We give a lot of thought to training to physical health. We give a lot of thought to getting more information, education, understanding more about the world, more facts. We give very little thought to training attention itself. And one of the dividends paid, and there's a fair amount of neuroscientific research on this point, on specifically the point of mindfulness meditation, is that emotional self-regulation and many cognitive improvements, many good things happen when you can actually just drop your stress and the automaticity of thinking for a moment and just be aware of the next sensation, the next thought, the next moment of a mood. And there's just our experience is a flow in the present moment, and there's relief to be found there, but it can be kind of hard won. It takes training. It takes a commitment to not merely brooding and thinking, and that's Again, I'm not discounting the utility of thought, and I'm not discounting the importance of sorting out the world. You know, there's a quietistic bias among meditators that I think is completely dysfunctional. And we don't want a culture of people who are not engaged and not trying to improve the world. But if there's any kernel of truth in the religions we so deplore, and they are just a carnival of errors, the truth is that it's possible to sink into the present moment in such a way as to find it sacred and to cease to have a problem. And that's just a fact for which there is so much testimony, and unfortunately, most of the testimony is contaminated with religious bullshit. So that's really good.